Hello, my lovely students. I hope all of you are doing so well. And in today's video, we're going to talk about integers, quick revision. It's something that we've already done before many times. Square and cube numbers versus square and cube roots. All right, so let's start. The first thing over here, as I said, is just a quick revision. It says here using variables. So they want you to find the value of each variable. Variable is the letter that is written over here. So z times -8 equals 48. What is z? Z is what? So what is that number? Yes, you just need to ask yourself first about the sign. So the sign here, my question to you, is it here that two numbers that have the same signs multiplied by each other to give you this, or they have different signs? Well, the answer here is positive, so definitely they both have the same signs. If this is negative, then definitely this is also negative. So it's negative something. Negative what? All right, now I don't worry about the sign anymore. I know that it's negative. So 1 times 8 equals 48. It is 6 times 8 equals 48. So the answer is -6. The next one over here, I want you to pause the video. Pause the video, try to do it on your own, and then come back to the video to check if your answer is correct or not. Pause now, get back to the video after you're done. So here, -12 divided by 1 equals 6. I worry first about the sign as we agreed before. The answer is positive, so definitely both numbers have the same sign. So this is negative, so definitely the y is also a negative number. So negative divided by negative is going to give me positive. That makes sense. Okay, now 12 divided by 1 is 6. So easy, Mr. Ahmed. Very easy. It's just 2. So -12 divided by -2 equals 6. All right, that's about the first part of the video. The second part is not listed here on this list. It is estimating by rounding to the nearest 10. So if I wanted to estimate it, I have to round. All right, and here in the question, they say to you, round to the nearest 10 to find the answer of this. Oh my God, Mr. Ahmed, you really want me to find -55.85 divided by 33.23? No way, Mr. Ahmed, I have to use the calculator. Come on, I'm saying estimate, round to the nearest 10. So I want to ask you here, -55.85. I don't actually not going to bother myself even about the point and the decimal numbers over there. It's just as if it's 55. Rounding it to the nearest 10. Okay, it's between 50 and 60. So it is closer to what? Exactly, it is going to be closer to 60. We round up. When it's exactly in the middle, then we round up. So when it's 5, the 5 is going to make this 6. So it is 60. And it's negative. So it's -60. Divided by, what about 33.23? How are we going to round this? To the nearest 10, it's closer to 30. By the way, guys, there is another video that I cannot catch. I'm going to send to you also in case you need help with rounding. I'm not explaining here how to round, but if you need help with rounding, just text me or send me Google Classroom. I'm going to send you the link immediately. All right, so here, this is going to be 30. So now I rounded both numbers to the nearest 10. -55 is closer to -60. 33 is closer to 30. Divide both of them. The signs are different, so it's going to be -60 divided by 30 is 2. Weird 2, Mr. Ahmed. Sorry, guys. All right, so here it is -2 is the final answer. Question 2, I need you to do it on your own. Use what you learned from question 1. Do it on your own, and then come back to check if your answer is correct or not. Let's round this now to the nearest 10. All right, it's going to stay negative, of course. 124 rounded to the nearest 10 is between 120 and 130. So it is closer to 120. So negative 120 divided by, rounding 18 to the nearest 10, it's between 10 and 20, but it's closer to 20. That's how I do it mentally. But if you want steps, as I told you, there is a video that shows you how exactly it works. All right, so negative 120 divided by 20, then the sign is going to be negative, yes. And then 120 divided by 20 by back to the zeros, 12 divided by 2 is negative 6. All right, that's all about estimating the quotient. And now we're going to square and cube numbers versus square and cube roots. How are we going to do this? Here, as you see, 2 squared, we took how to do this, guys, right? Do you remember? We took how to do it. 2 squared, for example. How can we do this? It means 2 multiplied by itself. So 2 times 2 is 4. And I didn't write the answers here. Okay, I'm going to write them with you right now. It is 4, yes. Then, what about 3 squared? Well, mister, does it mean 6? Is it equal to 6? Exactly, no, mister, not 6. I can hear you saying 9, 9. Yes, it is 9. Thank you. All right, so what is the next part over here? Negative 4 squared. Okay, that is a negative number. I know it, mister. 4 times 4 is 16, and here it is negative 16. Oh, no, this is not how it works. Negative 4 squared, it means negative 4 multiplied by negative 4, which means just 16. Why? Both signs are the same, so the answer is going to be positive. Negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16. Okay, that means that any number in the world squared is going to give you a positive answer. Any number, mister? Yes, any number. Squared, even if it's negative, even if it's negative. Squared is going to give you a positive number. Okay, why don't you guys finish the rest of the numbers here from 5 squared until you go to negative 12 squared and then come back to check the answer. Do it. Pause the video now and then come back to check your answers. 5 squared. 5 squared is 25. Now 6 squared, 6 times 6 is 36. Negative 7 squared, negative 7 times negative 7. Positive 49 as well. Read any negative number squared is going to give you a positive number. 80 squared is 64. 9 squared is 81. 10 squared is 100, and so on. 11 squared, if you multiply 11 by itself, is going to give you exactly 121. And 12, negative 12 squared is going to be 144. All right, mister, we know now the square numbers. What about the square roots? What is a square root? This is how we read this, and I want you guys to practice this. The square root of 81. That's how we read this. It's called the square root of 81. Okay, so the square root of 81 is what? What does this mean? It means what's the number that when you square it, gives you 81. Or, in other words, what's the number that when you multiply by itself, it gives you 81? Aha, that makes sense now. It's 9, mister. 9 is the number that when I square it, when I say 9 squared, it gives me 81. Or when I multiply it by itself, it gives me 81. So the square root of 81 is 9. What is the square root of 64? Oh, that is easy. The number that when I multiply by itself, it gives me 64? Yes, it is 8. Perfect. Why don't you finish the rest of the questions on your own and then come back to the video to check if your answers are correct or not. Do it now. Pause. All right, so what is the square root of 36? The square root of 36 is just 6. Yes. What about the square root of 100? Yeah, what's the number that when you multiply by itself gives you 100? It is just 10. Exactly. All right, now, what is the square root of 9? 3. The square root of 25 is 5. Sorry, I know the numbers are not put exactly where I want them to be. The square root of 16 is 4. So if I find the square root of negative number, is this possible? No, it is not possible. Can I say the square root of negative 16? No, that doesn't make any sense. If you multiply any number by itself, it will definitely give you a positive answer. All right, let's move to the next slide here. Cube numbers versus cube roots. How can we do this? All right, we did this before in class. Let's just remind ourselves of it. 2 cubed, what does this mean? Does it mean 2 times 3? All right, 2 times 3 equals 6. Yes, mister? No, this is not what it means. 2 cubed means 2 multiplied by itself. Multiply by itself again. So here are 3 2's multiplied by each other. This is the meaning of 2 cubed. Is what? Exactly, 8. Okay, good. So 2 cubed gives us 8. All right, what about 3 cubed? Here you go. All right, 1 second. Let me erase this. Oh, the answers are written already here. I wrote the answers, but I forgot to. Okay. Here you go. So 2 cubed, do I agree it is? 8. What about 3 cubed? 3 times 3 times 3 is going to give us 27. All right. Why don't you pause the video, answer the rest of the questions, then come back to check if your answers are correct or not. Do it now. Pause the video and answer the questions. All right, negative 4 cubed is going to be what? Oh, Mr. You said when we square numbers, if negative 4 squared, the answer is definitely going to be positive. So is it the same here? When we say negative 4 cubed, is the answer also going to be negative, going to be positive? No, it is going to say the same. It is going to be negative. Let's try this. What is negative 4 multiplied by negative 4 multiplied by negative 4? Let's try it. Negative 4 times negative 4 is 16. But when I multiply negative 4 when I multiply 16 by negative 4 again, what's the answer going to be? Is it going to be positive or negative? Exactly. Now, positive times negative is going to be negative. So 16 times 4 is going to be 64. That's going to be our answer. Negative 4 cubed is negative 64. 5 cubed is 125. 6 cubed, 216. Negative 7 cubed definitely is going to stay negative. And then 7 times 7 times 7 is 343. The last part of the video now is the cube roots. How can we answer? How can we get the cube root of 8? What does this mean? It simply means what's the number that when it's cubed, so what number cubed gives you 8? Or what's the number that when you multiply by itself 3 times it is going to give you 8. All right, the cube number or the number that when it's cubed, it gives us 8. It is 2. Yes, it's already there. I'm going to write it. So now, yes, I know that 2 times 2 times 2 is going to give me 8, or 2 cubed is going to give me 8. That's why the cube root of 8 is 2. All right, let's move to the next one. Oh, here, Mr. You said about the square root that it cannot be with negative numbers. Yes, but the cube root can be with negative numbers. So the cube root of negative 125, oh, look at that here. Yes, the number that when I cubed gave me 125 was the 5. So 5 cubed is 125. Oh, but it's negative here, so it's negative 5. What about the cube root of 27? Why don't you do the rest of the questions and then come back to check your answers? Pause the video now and do it on your own. All right, the cube root of 27, yes, 3. And here is negative 4. When you multiply by itself 3 times, it's going to give you negative 64. And here, the cube root of 343, yes, it's going to be 7. When you multiply by itself 3 times, it's going to give you 343. And the cube root of negative 216, yes, it's going to be 6. When you get 6 cubed, it's going to be 216, but this is negative, so it's going to be negative as well. There is another way that we're going to learn, which is prime factorization. In order to find the cube root of bigger numbers, we're going to learn this later, but that's it for now. Thank you so much and see you tomorrow.